Hello, my friends. My advice to the beginners, not to take the big board, but start with a smaller one. You need to practice first before you can start to carve a large pattern. And I don't advise you to color stain it before carving for the reason of, on a dark surface, every carving mistake would be highly noticeable, and unfortunately at the beginning you will make some mistakes. For the first time, let's take a clear board, not stained, and mark it with the ornament. To mark an ornament, we don't need all those expensive tools. We need a basic compass, pencil, ruler, and eraser. I would suggest using a soft pencil. Hard pencil will leave marks on the wood and it would be difficult to erase. Let's take a soft pencil and start drawing the ornament. How to mark the board? Find the center, place the compass, and starting at the edge, draw a circle. Remember, don't push too hard. Mark the edge of the circle at the top using a compass. Divide the circle into several equal parts. And again, don't push too hard on the board. Next, connect all the dots through the center according to our drawing. And again, remember not to push too hard with the pencil because you will need to erase some mistakes at some point. Next, we will divide our circle into more equal parts. Again, using a compass, continue dividing the circle. Find the random point that pencil will connect the edge and the next dividing line. Make a half circle. And continue doing so on the whole board. Now, draw another smaller one in the center. With a slightly smaller radius, draw another half circle inside of the half circle. And here you go, the first mistake. Didn't choose the right drawing point. Not a big deal. Use a razor to fix it. Second attempt, smaller radius and draw a half circle. And so on. And the whole circle. And don't be afraid, mistake will happen. Even experienced carvers do make mistakes. Try not to make it, but if you do, learn from your mistakes. For the beginners, I try to show a simple drawing. You will get to more complicated drawing with experience. Because this is intended for beginners, it will mostly be triangles. Next, divide those parts into half again. You don't have to measure exactly because it's not essential. Make another circle inside and connect edge points, making triangles. You can use a ruler or you can do this by freehand. And here we'll draw some diamonds from the center to the edge, center to the edge, and all the way around. If you came across too small knots, that's okay. Wood is wood as long as you don't have big knots in the wood, because they might split and spoil the whole drawing and the carving experience. Using the same radius, make half circle and the petal inside. And here you go. Okay, find the point and make a couple more petals. And so on to every top section of the circle. Now divide those triangles into 3 parts, more or less equal parts. Don't have to use a ruler, but as long as the lines are straight. And so on, fill in the circle. Divide these triangles into 3 equal parts. You can divide for the more parts, but 3 is good. Now using a compass, draw a light, very light line and draw triangles inside. You can do it freehand, don't have to necessarily use the ruler. Now the drawing is ready. I would suggest not to draw any ornament for now, to avoid smoothing it with your hands while carving the inner drawings. We will draw it later. I use a carving hatchet. It's a carving tool that I made myself with carved handle, which is very convenient, ergonomic, and very convenient to use in a handle. Carving consists of two moves, pushing and lowering the heel. Handle used as a pry bar, which makes this tool very easy to handle and allows long carving without getting tired. Let's review simple beginner's carving moves. To carve a simple triangle, place a hatchet on the line and place the heel into the starting point. Push the heel down towards the middle. Move over, repeat, and so on. Make sure you place the hatchet under the angle, not vertically, but with a slight angle. Next, same moves. Heel on the point, under the angle. Push the heel down. Move to the next line. And repeat. And don't forget about the angle. Keep the same angle on every cut. Next, place on the point and finish the cut. Push the heel down and push towards, and so on. Very important to make cuts under the angle, never vertically. And clean it up if you missed something. On the circle, the same technique. Place it on the point and push down and forward. And try to stay exactly on a line. Exactly on a line with the angle. Place it at the point, right at the line, and push down the heel and push forward towards the center point. Push the heel down, push towards the center, and so on. Keep the angle. Angle, push it towards the center. Opposite side, same movements. Heel down, push to the center, and triangle came out. Clean it up and repeat that move for the rest of the circle. Clean it up. To make a clean cut, you need to start feeling the heel is touching the middle. If you, for example, cut under different angle and leave the space, next cut will result in triangle not coming out, and you have to finish your first cut. You have to make like complete cut. If you cut more, not a big deal, but you might end up with an overcut tip on the edge, like that. To make a perfect cut, push the heel down so the cutting edge will meet the line. Place it on the line, push the heel down, and push to the center. And here you go, the triangle comes out cleanly. To carve a flower, repeat the same moves. With the grain, start here, push and cut. Push and cut. You will feel more comfortable cutting against the grain with the experience. For now, go with the grain. Try to keep the same angle and move along the edge. Place the hatchet on a line under the angle and push it to the center. Again, on a line, push down the heel and push towards the center. Now with the grain, cut in this way. And clean up whatever is left over there. Another way is start from the other end with the grain and cut the petal starting from the outer edge. 1, 2, 3. And clean it up after those moves. Very simple with the same technique. 1, 2, 3. Clean it up. Now let's review the angles. Place the hatchet with an angle. Push. And you can see from the edge where it cuts. Same cut and angle from the other side. You will end up with a shallow cut. Now let's increase the angle, place it more vertically, cut. From the other side, you can see it makes a deeper cut. We'll call it a middle cut. Now let's do more vertical angle. Cut. From the other side, cut. And you will end up with a deeper cutout. We learned more vertical placement makes deeper cuts. Shallow placement makes shallow cuts. You can alternate cut angles to make carving more diverse looking. In my experience, middle cut makes it more appealing to the eye. Tips and end up not too sharp looking, which prevents it from chipping. And the shallow cut looks like an undercut. Carving always starts from the center. If you start from the edge, you will end up rubbing your hands against the finished carving and might end up with chipping the tips. So start from the middle and carve away towards the edges. Finish the cut. We are not carving each triangle, but moving in one direction. This way, you keep the same angle on each carving line. Cut one, move to the next line. Cut one on the circle and move on. Cut one, move on. Same way you carve the next element. Single cut to the middle, next line. Stay on the same side of triangles. Now same cuts but on a different triangle side and the corner. Cut those little corners and so on. Clean it up if you miss a spot or two. Clean up, cut the corners. Clean up those leftovers in the corners. And you end up with a star like that. Next, we move to the next row of triangles. The same way, pushing the heel down and forward to connect with the line. Keep it on a line. Make sure you always keep it on the line. Push down the heel, place it on a line, push the heel down. Just an advice to beginners. Basic elements. Cut with the grain, going this way. Always with the grain this way. Cut with the grain. Next, you can flip the hatchet and put it on a heel and push it. Clean it up. So the same way you do, put the heel down, clean it up, push the heel down, clean it up, cut the grain, and the last triangle, this way, clean it up. And now again, we flip the board and we go from the inner corner, push the heel, the same stuff. Those little knots, they're not important. Again, flip it, put the heel down, clean it up. As you can see, you can push the hatchet, or you can put it on a line and just pushing the heel down. If you make a nice clean and everything goes right, so then the triangle will come up very easily. That's how the carving should look like from the close look. So more or less it should be all clean. Try to make it as clean as possible. But if something goes wrong, so you can always clean it up. Don't forget to hone your hatchet. So what I do, I put it flat on a piece of leather, which buffed up with the polishing paste. So 10 times one way, about 10 times the other way. And every half an hour or so. And those triangles go the same way. So we start at the point. We use a pushing technique here. Again, all the way around the circle. Don't forget about the angle. And the same way we cut one part, the second part. You can use this technique pushing the hatchet away. Clean up where you missed the spot. Or you can use in the technique which pushing the heel down. Place it on a line, push the heel down. Place it on a line, push the heel down. Now just check if you miss any spots or whatever, and just clean it up and continue on. The same way we cut out those flowers. Using the pushing technique again, and again, stay on a line. Always stay on the line to make a nice and clean cut. Put it on a line, push the heel down, push towards the center. Skip the petal, and again, on a line, push the heel down, push towards the center. On a line, push the heel down, push towards the center. Curved lines you can cut in several attempts, like, making one cut, clean it up a little bit, make another cut, clean it up. First cut, second, third, clean it up, and a straight line with one cut. Same here on a petal again. 1, 2, 3 cuts. Straight one in one cut. Same here on an opposite direction. Don't make it deep cut, just slightly cut, clean it up. On this one, just a straight, clean cut. And the petal again in 3 steps. Missed a spot here, so we'll clean it up. Now it's time to mark the edge. In this case, I will use a 15mm edge. And I mark it so all the way around. Make a half circle again. And the same way, we will divide that half circle in several parts. Using a compass, we'll make those half circles again, all the way around inside of that half circle. Those connecting points will allow us to divide this circle, half circle, into the several more parts. Little bit too much, so we need to adjust that half circle here. Making another half circle for the decoration here. And as you can see, we can divide those halves into the smaller halves. Now we'll connect a couple more lines here. And we'll divide it into more triangles. Go over your carving, and if you spot any missed spots, just clean it up. Next part consists of the same triangles. Carving the same triangles here. First we carve the circle out, and then we go back to the edges. And don't try to chip it away, just cut it clean. Now we're cutting the curved part. Again, using the pushing technique. Cutting out the triangle here. You can do it in several cuts because this kind of carving, it's pretty difficult to take it in one time. And finishing the cut here. Clean it up. Making the cut a little bit deeper right on the lines here. And the same the other way. On the lines. And now this way. Carve in half a diamond right on with the grain. If you didn't finish cut completely, just clean it up. So-called scales. Now erase in pencil marks. Marking 15 millimeters points here. And on that side, divided it by half. And mark in triangles here. All the way around. Now we cut in triangles on the edge. For the beginning, don't try to make complicated drawing. So until you get the understanding how it all works, try to stick with the simple drawings. Don't forget to hold that hatchet under the angle. And when you cut in, make sure the heel of the hatchet goes on the middle of that triangle. And now we go the opposite direction. Try to make a full cut on in one go. All the way around again. Here, all the same triangles all the way around. All the same technique. Push the heel down and push. And all the way around. Cutting the edge out, I try to hold the board against the table, because you will cut it a little bit differently, so you need some kind of support on it, and the grain located a little bit different way. It's pretty much the same as the cutting board. When they make it grains to the top, they're almost like unkillable. They last a long time. Mark in the middle of triangles here. And connecting all the dots around here. The same way on the other side of the edge. Making a card on the middle and cut it all the way to the lines. And now cut this way, try to keep it on a line. If you missed a little bit, just clean it up. And now the same technique, but opposite way. Make sure you use the razor very carefully, because you might end up chipping away the tops of the carvings. That's why I recommended at the beginning to use a soft pencil, so you will leave as little marks as possible. Because it's a soft wood, and with a hard pencil you will leave the deep marks, which would be difficult to erase. After we finish carving, we're gonna use stain. It's a water-based stain to cover the board. And now we're gonna stain the whole board, and it's also gonna help to hide the little mistakes that we made while carving the triangles and ornament. And staining also will hide all the little imperfections. And now we're covering again the whole board, and I intentionally left those uncarved pieces on the board so you can see the structure of the wood. Using the brush, we'll cover whole board with the stain. You can use any color of the stain. In this case, I'm just using the walnut stain. But I like using oak stain, and this one is a walnut. Human eye takes reflections. That's how we see all the stuff around us. The more subject reflects the light, then clearly we can see it with the human eye. As we know from physics, the dark objects absorb the light instead of reflecting it more. So that means, we are not seeing very clearly a dark object. The more darker the object, then more difficult to see it. So by using the stain, we hide in all the imperfections here. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a term, negretto, which is absolute black color, which is not really absorbed with an eye. We can leave it as is, or you can use a light sandpaper to lighten up a little bit that carving. Be very careful so you will not chip away the top of the carvings. Don't sand too much. We don't want to make it like, very, very light. And we can make the carving a little bit more appealing with a little bit more details. So we're gonna take the hatchet and cut out the little notches on the edge of those diamonds. And I just noticed a little chipping away part here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use some glue. We're gonna glue it and we'll leave it under the pressure to dry it out. And now we're gonna continue cutting those notches on the diamonds, but opposite direction. And I decided to make a little more carvings over here for the contrast, so you can see the carving on the stain board. Decided to add those little triangles here. avoid sanding the tops of the carvings, only the surface. Because if you're gonna sand the top of the carvings, I will guarantee you that you will chip it away. We're gonna use a little glue here. And you can always put a little more details on the petals. You can leave it as it is, but I decided to do so. It's chipping away a little bit, but you can always fix it with the glue. Cleaning up the cut. In this case, that's a half of the backgammon board. It could also be a jewelry box. It could be a cutting board, but for the cutting board you will need to put a little necks there. And on the opposite side you can always cut the vegetables, meat, whatever. And now we'll cover it with the lacquer. I use acrylic lacquer. It's water-based lacquer, and before you use it, make sure you test it on a different piece because sometimes it will smooth the stain away. Always test it before you cover the whole board, so you will find out how that lacquer interfere with the stain. Why use acrylic lacquer? Because it dries fast. You can always use a different lacquers, but I prefer this one. It got no odor and it dries very fast and it looks good. Cover the whole board, wait an hour, and you can use another cover, and you can use the third one, but two is enough. And you can always use the clear coat on the top to make it more shiny. Using the brush, just put that lacquer all over the board in every little hole and make sure you cover the whole board. Basswood absorbs lacquer very good, the first cover especially. After using the lacquer on the board, the grain will rise. So to make it a little bit more smoother on the touch, use the very fine sandpaper after each application of lacquer. The only thing we don't sand, it's a last application of clear coat, so it will stay shiny and smooth to the touch and appealing to the eye. Test it to the touch with your hand here, so it will nice and smooth. And that's how it looks like after 3 coats of lacquer. You can put as many coats as you like to get the result that you want, but in my case I use 3 acrylic toppings here, and for the final coat I'm gonna use the oil-based lacquer, and I'm gonna thinner it down with the thinner in the ratio of 1 to 10. And that's gonna be my final clear coat, but before that I'm gonna just lightly sand it again, very very lightly. Using the brush we're gonna put the final clear coat on the top. After that application, it's gonna look nice and shiny. For the final coat, you can use the airbrush. I'm gonna use the one that I made myself. Very easy to make and very easy to use. Very thin layer. And that's a final result after the clear coat. Looks nice and shiny, and all the little imperfections are hidden with the stain. Wishing you best of luck with all your carvings.